Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the walk. Today is Monday, January 27th, and today we are moving into Ezekiel 33. We are out of that previous section, and now we're moving into a section which is more about hope and more about restoration. So in these first two verses, Ezekiel is going to be told that he is a watchman. So in order to really understand what that watchman is, I did quite a bit of research. I thought I knew what it was, and what I found was some really cool stuff. So a great research tool is to use the law of first mention. And in order to get to that very first time that the Hebrew word is used, I had to dig a little. So I went to a website I love. It's called studylight.org. And I typed in Watchman, and it gave me a verse in 1 Samuel. Well, when I clicked on Watchman to see the Hebrew word, and then I looked at all the places that the Hebrew word shows up, it also shows up in Genesis. So really the first time that word showed up was in Genesis 31:49. And it says, "And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between you and me, when we are out of one another's sight." So in this case, it's referring to the Lord being a watchman. The word there is safa, and what it means is to lean forward, to peer into the distance, by implication, to observe or to await. And its usage is behold, espi, look up, wait for. It occurs 37 times in the Bible, and 37 is the number of years of Peter's ministry. Peter was absolutely a watchman. Well, when I got to the lexicon, it got much more interesting. It became a watchtower, and right away I started thinking of all these verses that say that the Lord is our strong tower. It means north, from the North Star, which is watched for direction. They kept their eyes on that North Star so they knew what direction they were going in. It also means a covering of an area by watching. Right there, that's talking about intercessory prayer. It means a place for watching. So then we get to Ezekiel 33. Verse 1, and it said in the in the Apologetic Study Bible, it said, "This passage is a turning point as Ezekiel transitioned to messages of hope and restoration in chapters 33 through 45. This message parallels chapter 3, 16 to 21, and reaffirmed Ezekiel's authority as the prophet of restoration." So here we go, verse 1. "The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, speak to your people and say to them, if I bring a sword upon the land, and the people of the land take a man from among them, and make him their watchman." All right, so in the Cultural Study Bible, there was a note about this watchman. He stands at a place in the city where he has the most strategic view of the surroundings and watches for any approaching enemy army. He reports by word of mouth or by trumpet. His task is simply to sound the alarm of the approaching enemy. He is absolved of responsibility if the city dwellers refuse to heed his call. Ezekiel's portrayal of himself as a prophetic watchman is similar to Isaiah's in chapter 21 verses 6 through 9, and Jeremiah's in Jeremiah 6:17. Though no similar label has been found attached to prophets in the ancient Near East, the concept is familiar enough. Well, it really jumped out at me that they would use a trumpet, because right away I'm thinking of the trumpet call that's going to announce Christ's return. Verse 3, "And if he sees the sword coming upon the land and blows the trumpet and warns the people, then if anyone who hears the sound of the trumpet does not take warning, and the sword comes and takes him away, his blood shall be upon his own head." What does that mean? Basically what it means is the watchman warned you, you didn't listen to it, now you've got those natural consequences that are happening. Verse 5, He heard the sound of, verse 6. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and does not blow the trumpet so that the people are not warned, and the sword comes and takes away any of them, that person is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at the watchman's hand. So that would be the watchman's fault because he didn't warn them. In the ESV Fire Study Bible, there was this really neat note that said, a watchman, one positioned in a tower or on a city wall to look out for invaders or approaching disaster, who saw destruction coming and did not sound an alarm to warn the people, would be held responsible for their deaths. In God's kingdom, a pastor or a spiritual leader who does not warn those who are uncommitted, rebellious against God about the danger of judgment will be held accountable for the people's spiritual destruction. All Christians have the responsibility to share their faith with the people who are spiritually lost and to help fulfill the mission of Jesus to the church. We will give an account to God if we refuse to obey Jesus' great commission. Here's the bottom line. All of us are called to pray. All of us are called to let others know about Jesus Christ. And this watchman role relates to that. If we have those opportunities to tell others about Christ and they don't come to Christ and then they pass away, that's on us. We should have taken that opportunity. But at the same token, if we tell them and they don't accept Christ, we've got to remember we did our jobs as followers of Jesus Christ. Our job was to tell them. From there on, it's between that person and the Holy Spirit. So we need to be bold as we interact with people and tell them as if their soul depends on it, because it really does. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.